welcome to tonight's meetup. This meetup is really for helping people ultimately grow in their lives, become the best versions of themselves, find their reason for being, their purpose, their passions, etc. Many people are entrepreneurs. That's a lot oftentimes who I attract, but everyone is welcome. And tonight's call is about around the fact that you're not too emotional and that your nervous system is just trying to protect you. There are a lot of people who are highly sensitive, empathic, maybe even ADHD, maybe all of the above. And so we'll touch on that a little bit tonight. I'm also going to lead a mini meditation near the end of tonight's call, just so you can prepare yourself. You'll be able to get calm and relax and really just enjoy tonight's call. If at any point you have any questions and you want to gain clarity or do any hot seat coaching, I'm always available and excited to do that. So we're going to dive in. And my name is Cass. For those of you that don't know me yet, I help people heal their past, master themselves, therefore uncover who they truly are in order for them to live free within their lives, within themselves. I teach through psychology, neuroscience, neurolinguistic programming, which is NLP, identity work, nervous system regulation, all of those things. And the aim is always to get to the root, not to the symptom. So I don't like to treat the symptom. I like to go to the root of our problem, uncover why it's actually showing up, and then dig it out at the root so that you can finally move on. I don't really like to do surface level anything. So when I work with people, we really create lasting change. That's something that I really, truly value. So I host this meetup pretty well weekly for women and men who are done just managing their lives from the surface and who are ready to just live their life. So pop a me in the chat if that is you, if you really just want to step into your life fully and fully live it. And maybe you even feel like up until now, you've been maybe living in fear or worry or doubt or overwhelm, things like that. Yeah. Okay. So tonight isn't about becoming someone new. It's about understanding what's already happening inside of you. Because really, underneath all of the conditioning and the fear and the worry and the doubt that we have collected over the years, the highest level version of us is already there. And then once we get to know who we truly are, then we just turn up the dial a little bit and then live freely through that version of us versus an old version of our ways of operating. So tonight we'll notice what actually triggers you. Now, of course, we're not going to uncover all of the triggers in one night in just one setting, but I will teach you how to start to notice and become aware of your triggers. I'll help you understand why it makes more sense than you think. It's actually quite simple once we get down to understanding why we get triggered in the first place. And then we'll practice. I'll give you a simple tool that you can use anytime. And then we'll regulate your nervous system through a guided meditation together. Sounds good? Awesome. Okay, so oftentimes people feel like, or they ask the questions like, why did I react like that? Or why do I keep getting triggered by the same things? Or why am I so darn sensitive? I'd be curious if any of you that are on a call right now feel that way, like that you feel like you're oversensitive or highly sensitive, or you keep asking yourself, why do I keep responding this way? Or why does this thing keep bothering me? It's very fascinating since I've done so much healing within myself and my nervous system. Anytime I do get triggered, it's like, oh, I know that there's still something that's unresolved within my nervous system that I need to address. Yeah. Did you have a question or more just raising your hand to say, yeah, I resonate with that?
Just a comment that I get triggered too, but I don't know if it's the like you mean when you say triggered or if that's what most people get. For me, it's when people stare at me or watch me or make faces at me when I'm in public.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll get into that. Hold on to that one. But there is something because not everybody feels that way. Not everybody feels like people are watching them or staring at them or making faces at them in public. So there's something unresolved within you that is causing you to feel this way. So you're definitely being triggered. But the thing is, it's something that's unresolved from your past that's actually just showing up now. That makes sense?
Oh, so you don't feel when you have makeup on and you look really good, people are like staring at you or women will frown at you when you look really good.
Yeah, so yeah, not everybody will feel that way. And so that's just something within ourselves that we are hyper fixated on it, assuming and thinking that just because someone is looking our way, that they're looking at us or judging us. We essentially, whatever we believe, we will almost distort reality to match our belief systems. So even if someone is looking at you, but they're actually in a daze, so they're just totally spaced out, but they're looking in your direction, you might interpret that as, oh my gosh, that person obviously doesn't look like me. Look at them. They're staring right at me and look at the face that they have. Meanwhile, they might not even be looking at you, but because you have a belief that's within you, you are making it mean that.
Okay, I really appreciate that. Thank you. That I never talked about this, so it's nice to hear what you said.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. So we'll get into how to actually uncover what the ultimate trigger is within you so that you can walk out of this call knowing how to decipher that. So anytime you have a feeling within you that you don't necessarily love, it's not that feelings or emotions are bad. It's just information. And if there's something that's unsettled within us and we don't particularly enjoy it, then we can say, okay, what am I making this mean? What belief do I have? Is this something that oftentimes shows up? And do I want to hold on to it, or is this something I want to let go of? And then you kind of go into phase two of discovering what it is that is unresolved within you. It's really fascinating. We hear this a lot, but I just want to reiterate that you are already enough as you are. Like, we don't need makeup. We don't need our bodies to look a certain way. We don't need to wear certain clothes or have a certain title to be enough. Now, something that I found interesting, I've been, like I said at the beginning of this call, I've been going on a lot of hikes recently. I joined a hiking club. We go every Thursday. It's been a lot of fun. Something that I really love about that group and other groups that I've been able to meet outside of that is having these one on one conversations with people. And what I've noticed, especially in a lot of different cultures, is education and status is top priority. So if you don't have a certain job, like a certain status, like maybe a doctor or scientist or lawyer or business owner or something like that, then you actually bring shame upon yourself and your family. And so a lot of people are actually going after these career paths so that they feel validated, loved, and accepted and like they belong within their family unit. Meanwhile, they have this career, but they feel empty within them because it's not actually something that they want. And so maybe they have the house and the kids and the job and everything that they thought was supposed to make them happy. And then they get there and it's like, but this isn't making me happy. So what will? And that's where a lot of people reach an identity crisis or like a state of rock bottom or feeling like they're depressed or hopeless because they're like, but I have everything that they said would make me happy and it's still not it. Which is why this when we do this kind of work, it's so important because then we can kind of peel back the layers as to, okay, why did you get into that career in the first place? What were you hoping that it would do for you? What were you hoping that what is something that you were seeking from it? And I do have to mention that a lot of this is actually happening on the subconscious level. So it's not really something that you can easily think about. It's more so through talking with someone such as myself, a certified practitioner in this line of work that can help ask the appropriate questions to bring those answers up. Because the number one prime directive of the unconscious mind is to keep you safe. And the way that it does that is to keep you in a state of familiarity. And as long as you're in a state of familiarity and you're not changing, then you're perceived safe, even if you're not happy. Like your subconscious mind doesn't care if you're happy or not. It just wants to make sure that you're alive. So you're not too emotional. You are enough as you are. And as you get to know yourself, your triggers, your ways of thinking, your thought patterns, then you can start to really realize, okay, who am I? Why am I doing these things? Why am I wearing makeup? Why am I dressing this certain way? Why am I pursuing these things? What am I hoping that it will do for me? And then just keep, it's almost like, I think there's something called like a 7 levels or 10 levels deep of why. Ask yourself, okay, why? If that, then why do I want to do that? Okay. If that's the reason, then why do I want to do that? Your nervous system, it's just doing what it was designed to do. So the problem is most of us were never taught how to understand it. Just like you had mentioned that you had never really seen it that way. It's because we're not actually taught that. I didn't know about any of this. I used to go from 0 to 100 really fast, like almost like turning on a light switch for my emotions. I would go like totally calm, totally happy, totally fine to all of a sudden I'm in a rage. I'm angry. I'm seeing red. I feel out of control. And then I would yell or like want to like break things. It I hated it, and so I actually went on this learning about all of this stuff because I'm like, "Why am I like this, and how can I stop being this way?" Essentially. And just because 1, we're not taught that. 2, we model people around us. So if we were raised in an environment such as myself, where there is rage and there is lack of emotional regulation or emotional maturity, if you will, then you're a lot more likely to have those same patterns within yourself. Everything can be unlearned and we can teach ourselves. It's never too late. So, what did we learn to do instead? When it comes to our emotions, we learn to suppress it. I was on a coaching call the other day with a client of mine, and we were doing something called timeline therapy where we uncover and release old stored emotions such as anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, resentment, and hurt. That's what I do within my work. And she's like, oh my gosh, it was so suppressed that as she was sitting there, she's like, it feels like it's a volcano. It was all so deeply suppressed that we just needed to sit with it so that it could come out like a volcano. And then she felt so much lighter. So many people push through if they're feeling burnt out, or you know what happens when people are feeling burnt out? Oftentimes there's so many reasons. But a lot of times they're just out of alignment with what they actually want to do. They are dismissing their desires, they're suppressing them, they're denying them. So they're living out of alignment with who they're actually meant to be. Or they're not accepting help or asking for help. Maybe they associate asking and receiving help with failure or that they're weak. A lot of people stay busy. They will do anything to avoid looking in the mirror at their emotions or sitting with their emotions because it's too uncomfortable. But that's the greatest gift of all, when we can actually stop and sit with our emotions, almost like sitting with a buddy. Hey, anger, what are you here to show me? Or hey, frustration, or hey, depression, what are you here to show me? Personify this emotion that you have and then say, hey, why are you showing up? What are you here for? Why are you trying to protect me? Yeah,
When I have my emotion, I try to fix it. I never really sit with it. If I'm bored, I try to find something to do.
yeah.
Is that an example of one of these four instead of sitting with it?
Yeah. So, is there any other emotions other than boredom that you try and stay busy from or move on from or not sit with?
I think it's just boredom, but it happens quite often where I'm bored and then I have to busy myself like with something I never really planned on doing in the first place. I'll want to go like I was looking at this board game cafe today and I usually don't like to go to those places because I don't like the people there. But I'm like, oh, I'm really bored and maybe I should just go to the board game cafe. And I thought, look, there's probably no one going to show up tonight anyway. And sometimes I'll get really frustrated. I'm bored and try to go out or, you know, how I guess everyone finds something to do when they're bored, but maybe some people sit with it. I've never really thought of that because I feel like I'm wasting the day if I have an evening and I have nothing to do. I feel bored. I feel like I have to go somewhere populated.
Yeah. So there's actually a lot in there that you said. One, your intuition is telling you, hey, let's go to this board game lounge because it could be fun. But then you're denying yourself of that because then you kind of get into fear. What if there's no one there? What if I don't like it? What if the people there I don't like? So you're kind of overriding what your intuition is suggesting you to do. Two, it's okay to be spontaneous and go out and do things. If you're feeling bored, it's not that you're running away from it. You're just like, hey, I'm not really doing anything right now. What can I do? And then your intuition swoops in, gives you an idea. And that's when you take inspired action to act on it. When we want to look at boredom, if we're running away from it in more so a detrimental, negative way, if we will, then it's more so if you can't actually give yourself permission to relax, to not do anything. So if you're constantly needing to clean or work or do busy stuff, then that more so is looking at, okay, do I feel like I have to earn rest? So do you feel like it was the first one or the second one?
The first one, I should clean more and stuff, but no, I try to distract myself with unhealthy ways. Sometimes I want to go on a dating app and then I remember how horrible they were to me and how I was always irritated and frustrated with my experiences on there. So I keep telling myself, oh, don't, you're just going to have a really irritating time and you're just bored. I'll be at a doctor's office waiting and be like, oh, I'm bored again. I'll be in the cafeteria after my appointment waiting. I'll be like, oh, I'm bored again. It's like I expect myself to always have fun and I just don't. I'll be happy sometimes and then sometimes I'm waiting or on the bus or just in between things, I'm just bored.
Yeah. So then I would suggest for you to start allowing yourself to sit in the space of boredom, because that's when our intuition can actually speak to us. When we are in the space of we're not doing anything, we're not being distracted by anything, sometimes that is actually being disguised as, oh my gosh, this is too uncomfortable. I can't sit with myself. I have to go do something. But that's when your intuition wants to speak to you. And what your intuition might have been saying also is, let's go on a dating app. And then all of a sudden your fear and your ego comes in and is like, oh no, that's not safe. Remember last time? So you have unresolved fears within you that's actually holding you back. Same with the cafe lounge, with the game boards. Your fear is kicking in way too often and overriding your intuition. It's actually wanting you to get out there and live your life.
Okay, thank you. And I'm really glad I came today because at first I was like, I have no idea what this group is like because I've never been here. But now I'm really like, this is the highlight of my day. So thank you.
I'm so glad. You're so welcome. Anything I can do to help. And then the fourth one is pretending that we're fine. So if we are like, this is also huge for people who are people pleasers, who feel like it's wrong to feel sad or negative or frustrated or whatever it is, or if they're the peacekeepers, or even if they're the healers, such as myself. I'm very intuitive, very empathic, and I help others heal. So sometimes it would feel almost wrong for me to be out of sorts if I'm the person who's supposed to have it all together sometimes. But I give myself permission to be a human. I give myself permission to feel. If I'm feeling sad or grieving, then I'll allow myself to cry because it's really important. Otherwise, we suppress it and then we're denying ourselves of our feelings. And again, it's all information. So suppressing it, pushing through, staying busy, pretending we're fine, none of that is regulation. It's really just, you're just really good at hiding. And we need to bring it all to the surface, almost like bringing all of it to a table, a round table, and having a conversation and saying, hey guys, what are you here to show me? Why are you showing up? What are we trying to resolve here? And noticing when it's the ego or the fear that's trying to kick in versus your intuition is very important. I've done some meetups on this in the past. You can actually find those recordings also on my podcast called the Transform Your Life podcast. I talk about the difference between the ego and fear, ego and intuition. It's very important to learn what they sound like, how they feel, where they show up in the body. That's key because like what you're mentioning, your intuition is trying to give you beautiful gifts throughout your day, but then your fear is swooping in as fast as it can to say, oh, no, we can't do that. It's not safe. So, emotional regulation isn't about staying calm all the time. Okay. It's about creating enough safety within yourself and your body that you no longer have to stay in survival mode, stay in a state of fight or flight. Eh, People think that it's just how it is what it is. If we're just constantly stressed and overwhelmed all the time, I'll tell you, it's not. It's not just it is what it is. Most people, if not every single person that I work with who come to me with anxiety and overwhelm, get rid of it because they learn what the anxiety was there for. One, it's unresolved negative emotions from the past. It's two, it's not realizing that actually we're saying something to ourselves that is causing us to feel a certain way. So when we realize that the emotion isn't just showing up randomly, it's actually because we're saying something or we're creating a meaning out of a situation. Like what you said at the very beginning, that if you're out in public and you feel like someone is watching you, now all of a sudden you're feeling triggered. It's because you see something and then you automatically say something to yourself in the form of internal dialogue. You might have a belief about yourself, and now you are putting yourself into a state of being triggered. That might show up as panic, anxiety, overwhelm. And then from there, you do a behavior. Maybe you go hide. Maybe you go back home. Maybe you avoid going there ever again because it doesn't feel safe within the body to ever put yourself in that situation again. So it's okay. We need to create meaning about this. Going to the board game lounge, for example, is not safe because the last time someone looked at me and it really ruined my night. Did that even happen? I don't know. Because we distort, delete, and generalize information to match our filters. Like the reality is nothing. We create meaning out of everything. So your nervous system, it's like a smoke detector. It's not a judge. It's not trying to, the smoke detector is not trying to ruin your night. It's not trying to wake you up. It's just trying to keep you safe, right? The people, it's so interesting. The people that get pissed off at this smoke alarm, I imagine that they have a very kind of negative outlook on life, more so the people who appreciate the smoke alarm for working. I don't know for sure, but I have a hunch that the people that get pissed off and annoyed at smoke alarms are the same people that don't have a very positive outlook on life. It's there to protect us. It's not the problem. It's just showing us something that is not going right. So some people though have a faulty smoke alarm that keeps going off even when it doesn't need to because of unresolved stuff within our past. So that's why an event can happen now and you're like, I don't know why I'm triggered. This doesn't make sense. It's because it's comparing it to something from your past. It's a faulty smoke alarm. So what actually happens when you're getting triggered? I'll just define it quickly in simple terms because the word trigger gets thrown around a lot. It used to just be around people who had PTSD, but now it's like everyone's like, "Oh, you triggered me. Oh, that triggered me," whatever it is. So a trigger isn't someone making you angry or making you feel a certain way. It's an old wound that's being activated in the present moment. And in that moment, your nervous system isn't asking questions like, "Is this reasonable?" It's asking, have I felt unsafe like this before? And if the answer is yes, your body's going to react first and then ask questions later. So if someone looks at you or you feel a certain energy, or even if someone has a certain facial expression, but that happened in the past when something not very good happened to you, then you might start to see everything as that. I had dated many abusive men in my past. One in particular, I was triggered for a year after because I thought he was stalking me. And there was moments where I would be somewhere and I'd be like, I feel like that person is here. And I would look around and catch a glimpse of him. Now, was it actually him or was I just turning someone into him because I was so activated? He wasn't triggering me, but I was triggering myself because I had PTSD from being in an abusive relationship where I felt very unsafe. So I didn't know that this kind of work existed back then. Neurolinguistic programming, timeline therapy, all of that. I had no idea. Otherwise, I would have definitely done it back then. I only knew about talk therapy and it only got me so far. And that's what the majority of my clients say is I've done talk therapy, but it's not helping. We just keep talking about it. I'm like, great. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's just resolve it. So a trigger isn't that someone is making you angry or feel a certain way. It's just an old wound that's being activated in the present moment. When we clear up the stuff from the past, the trigger from the now goes away. I love this stuff so much because that's emotional freedom. And when you have emotional freedom, when you have rock solid foundation of your emotions, you're steady, nothing can shake you. You have so much behavioral flexibility. You can do anything. It doesn't matter what someone says, it doesn't matter the way they look at you. And this is especially important for someone that wants to go after their dreams in this world. You're going to get lashback. People aren't going to like you. People are going to judge you and criticize you and make fun of you or whatever it is because people can be mean because they have unresolved stuff within themselves. So they go and project it onto other people. So a lot of people don't actually go out and put themselves out there on the internet or in their business or whatever it is because they're terrified. But when we clear up the shit from the past, now you can actually go out there and pursue your business. I can't tell you how many people come to me and they've had this idea for 10 years and they've just been sitting on it because they're afraid and it breaks my heart. But afterwards, after they work with me, they're guns blazing. A client of mine this morning was on CTV News because he built up this hiking club. Last time there was 140 people there and it all started from a conversation. And then we had some conversations around the fears and the worries and making sure he had his mindset checked. And once he did, there he goes. And I have so many stories like that. It brings me so much joy to be able to help people step into their leadership role and step into their life. That's just a little side tangent. Is there any more questions at the moment before we move on? All right, let's keep going. So this is helpful if you want to take a picture of it. Why you keep getting triggered by the same things. An event happens, and then the event happens and we feel a certain emotion. Now, the same event can happen, and not everyone is going to feel the same emotion. We're all very unique in how we perceive information, how we perceive the meaning of an event. So, an event happened, and you'll either hear everyone perceives situations differently. So you might hear something, see something, feel something, smell something. Everyone takes in their senses through a different way. So if ever you want to uncover how it is that you are being triggered specifically, you can kind of close your eyes and ask yourself, okay, what happened the last time I was triggered? Did I hear something, see something, smell something, taste something, sense it, like kinesthetically? Did I say something to myself? What was it? Because sometimes we can trigger ourselves and then say something about what we just said to ourselves. It's wild. A lot of times people either hear something or see something. Those are like the two primes, okay? From there, you have an emotion and you create a meaning about it. In between that, which is not here, you say something to yourself. So, an event, you say something to yourself, then you have an emotion. Within that, you're creating meaning about what this is. This is so important, especially for children, because that's all children do. They're just living in a constant hypnotic state. They have no idea what's going on. So everything they have to create a meaning about because they're new to this world. So if they don't know what something means, they have to create meaning about it. And the meaning is ultimately designed to keep them safe. So if something happened and it didn't feel good within their body, their subconscious mind is going to create a meaning that is okay, this was not safe. We have to avoid this at all costs in the future. So we're just going to essentially deem this as no good. That's when fears, anxieties, phobias are created very quickly, too. And then from there, we create a belief. And the brain creates protection. And then we repeat the pattern over and over, and we collect evidence to prove that it's true throughout our entire lives. It's really profound. And when you understand this formula and start to use it, you can actually dissect your life and change your life way faster when you do it with someone, a professional like myself, because you can only get so far when thinking your way through this kind of stuff. You can start, see where you get. And then a repeated pattern becomes your identity. It's your personality, and then that becomes your life. So if there's anything within your life right now that you just don't like, great news, you can change it. We'll just work in reverse. Just work in reverse. If there's something that you don't like about yourself, acknowledge it. Ask yourself, okay, why don't I like that? We want to be careful what we're changing. It's because that part of me, you feel like you're being judged, but you actually do that part of you. Don't change that then. Work on the part that is afraid of being judged instead. That's a big differentiator. I want to make sure you understand that if there's a part of you that you actually do genuinely love, but people are judging you about it, then you work on the judgment part and not that part within you that you enjoy. Okay, so let's just take a minute here. If you have a pen and paper, if you don't have it, then just you can even close your eyes and just imagine yourself answering this question. Bring up a specific trigger that you've been having recently within your life, and then get still. I'll pause for a minute or two and just allow you to write down. I invite you to close your eyes so that you're not using your thinking brain. When you close your eyes, you're not looking at anything, you're just connecting with your subconscious and answer the question. The story I tell myself when I get triggered is X. So if someone's saying something to you on the internet, or someone isn't texting you back, or you're feeling anxious around a certain person or situation, or you're avoiding going somewhere. There's so many different ways that people get triggered. So just sit with it. Ask yourself, when was the last time I got triggered? And what story was I telling myself about this situation? Remember to breathe. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. When you can become the observer of your thoughts, that's when you can change the pattern so much faster. So if any of you wanted to share it when you have it, let me know. I went on a couple dates with someone and they weren't texting me back right away. So I made up all these stories within myself. Uh, Maybe he doesn't like me. Maybe I scared him off. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe he's with someone else. like all of these stories. So I just zoomed out of myself long enough to be like, okay, yo, the stories are just running. They're just running. We got to cut them off and say, okay, why are we saying these things to ourselves? Oh, we want certainty, which of course we all want certainty. We want to know, is that person into us? Do they want to, what are they thinking? And so we tell ourselves these stories so that we create meaning about the situation so we can finally be relaxed. So when we can't find certainty, especially in another situation or someone else, if it involves someone else, we just have to calm ourselves down by paying attention to the stories that we're telling ourselves and then just change it. We can even lie to ourselves because it doesn't matter. Those were lies either way. So it's like, okay, maybe that person fell in a deep, dark hole and they lost their phone. Now I feel calm. Right? So, yes, would you like to share?
But just a kind of fun one on in relation to your perspective shift. Kind of joke to people, if you want to feel really good looking, just look in the mirror less often. And because one of the things that if you look in the mirror less, you just generally start to feel good about yourself. And then you come across more appealing to other people as well. But on a deeper level, one of my triggers during the COVID period was I do very deep research on topics that are important to me. So I knew a lot of things that the general public believe contrary. And that was very physically in the center of my chest. It really triggered the strong irritation, but I had to step back and understand what my goals were with or why that upset me. But my bigger goal is to work towards a world that's free. So I had to understand that these people are doing the best they can with the information that they've assumed is true, and to learn to be sympathetic towards that view. And if I have the opportunity to discuss it in an inviting way. And that's important for my mental and physical health as well, because otherwise I'll be triggered a million times a day. So it's a long process of understanding, accepting the world is full of these sorts of challenges, and then working towards an approach that allows me to feel like I'm being constructive towards something I think is better.
Yeah. And what you did there was you pulled back and you zoomed out and you're like, "Okay, why am I being triggered about this? What am I making this mean? Where do I feel like I don't have control versus I have control?" And then you flipped it on its head. And I imagine that pretty well neutralized the trigger. Did it?
It's there initially, but I know how to clear it. And then I recognize that just being triggered is not being effective.
Yeah.
I look towards how can I be effective in that regard so I can clear that more quickly.
Yeah, yeah. So asking yourself different questions, asking yourself, yeah, what can I do about this situation? Because I can't control or change other people, but what can I do about this specific situation so that at least I can feel calm? And when I'm calm, then I have behavioral flexibility in order to change. So I think that's amazing. And keep speaking up and having the courage to do the fact that it was a trigger that triggered you for a specific reason, and you were able to reframe it that then took that feeling of being triggered out of your body, which is most important, so that we're not in a constant state of fight or flight. So I'm glad that you were able to bring resolution to that within yourself. So then you were able to have peace and then be like, okay, what can I do? What is there something that I can do about this situation? Amazing. Okay. So these are a couple questions that you can sit with. Feel free to take a picture of it. That's not something that we're going to cover on the call right now, just for the sake of time. I still want to give you guys a meditation. But the question number one is, what's the story I'm telling myself in this moment? So if you're feeling triggered, then you pause. You pause right away and you say, what's the story I'm telling myself in this moment? And that's when you get to become aware of the voice in your head that's telling you all of these lies, to try and bring certainty and clarity to the situation, even if you can't. So it's best just to make up some sort of lie so that you can, it's like, same thing if someone isn't texting you back and you're like, oh, they must hate me. Instead, be like, okay, that's not helpful. That's causing me to trigger myself. They probably just lost their phone. And all of a sudden, the trigger is neutral. That's just one example. Number two is, whose voice does this reaction actually belong to? Because a lot of us are actually programmed by maybe social media, by the news, by our parents, by whoever. And sometimes it's actually fear. And so becoming aware, zooming out even further and saying, okay, whose voice does this remind me of? My mom, bless her heart, she's a worrywart. So she'd oftentimes be like, that's dangerous. Don't do that. What are you doing? And I'm like, Mom, it's fine. But if that pops in my voice, I'm like, is that my voice or someone else's voice? So pay attention to that, especially if you grew up in a household with toxic parents that always talk down on you, beat down on you, dimmed your light. And then all of a sudden now you're beating on yourself. It's like, okay, whose voice is that actually? Is that my voice or is that someone else's voice? Number 3 is, what was I never given permission to feel? This one is huge. If you're feeling frustrated or sad, but you weren't allowed to actually feel those, it could feel wrong. It could feel like you need to suppress it. And number 4 is, what would it feel like to respond instead of react? So when we're responding, we're coming at it from a neutral point of view. But if we are reacting, then we're more so reacting out of full emotions. And then when we're doing that, we're actually, sometimes we'll full on black out. We feel out of control. We're attacking versus getting curious. And then we're not actually able to bring resolution to the situation. Sometimes we're actually making it worse. So if someone says something to you that you don't like, and then you yell at them or get upset or get angry or whatever it may be, it's possible that you might have heard it wrong, or it's possible that who knows what actually happened. But until you gain clarity and kind of collect yourself and be like, okay, how do I want to respond in this situation? Reacting doesn't actually help the situation at all. And I think that it would be really helpful if people brought this into their communication, into relationships, because I think relationships would do so much better if they learn how to have better communication styles. But that's for another meetup. So reacting versus responding, again, reacting is your body is in charge. The old pattern runs the show, and maybe now you are lashing out, getting frustrated, angry, you're losing emotional control. And that's what happens when people say, I can't control my anger. I just yell, I black out, I don't know how to control myself. And responding is you are regulated enough to be able to choose differently. Choose how you want to respond, both emotionally and with your words or with your actions. The pattern doesn't have to win. So either you have gained clarity around what the pattern is and you have changed it, or you have resolved it from your past so it's no longer a problem. So a simple tool for any time that you're feeling triggered or overwhelmed, or any emotion that is kind of heavy to sit with, you name it. Like I said, it's almost like sitting with a buddy. You name it. Okay, I'm noticing anger. You lengthen the exhale twice as long as the inhale. Breathe in 3 seconds. Exhale 6. That gets your body out of the fight or flight. And now you hit your body with an affirmation. I'm safe right now. Something that I did when I was in an abusive relationship was I would get constantly activated. And I knew it was because I knew what was coming. And my body would go into full fight or flight mode. I would panic. I would have a hard time breathing. So I'd breathe in and I would say, I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm safe. I'm loved. And I would do that sometimes for 30 minutes just to calm down my nervous system, because that's not helpful. And if we do that on repetition too often, that leads to disease like cancers and chronic diseases and all of that stuff. It's really not good for the nervous system to be in a constant state of fight or flight. Okay. So I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish the slides quickly, and then we're going to do the meditation, and then we'll finish off on the meditation. Do you guys have a couple extra minutes in case the meditation goes longer? I'm going to send in a replay as well. So just try out that breath. We're going to inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 8. And then I'm going to finish the slides, and then we'll do the meditation. So just try it out. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8. And even notice the things that drop as you exhale. As you inhale, what I noticed was my shoulders actually went up. And then as I exhaled, they slowly fell back down. So I would just suggest to do that several times. I have clients where I'd say if they're being activated with a family member or a spouse or whatever, go into the bathroom, excuse yourself, go and do this breath work. And then when you're calm, then you come back to the situation from a different vantage point. When you do this, when you change the way that you look at situations and are able to change the way that you see your triggers and so on, It changes the way that you experience your relationships, your work, your home, and your life. It changes everything, not because those things change, but because you change. And like I said, reality is really just what we make of it. I had a client, she had this belief that her neighbor hated her. And so she's like, okay, I'm going to practice it. She's in my program, Worthy and Free. And she's like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna practice what Cass teaches us. So she went inside and she visualized having really nice, kind neighbors. She did the breath, she did the visualizing, she really sat with it, and then she really believed that she had really nice, kind, loving neighbors. And the next time she saw her neighbors, they were smiling and waving to her. Now, I wonder, were they smiling and waving to her all along? And she just didn't notice it because she had this belief that they hated her. We won't know unless there's a camera that was spying on them. But now she's like, oh my gosh, my neighbors are so nice. They love me. What the heck? It's like, dang. If only I would have done that 10 years ago. But that's neither here nor there. So this isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you are underneath the stress, the overwhelm, the protection your nervous system has built over the years. It's remembering. And then as you remember and let go of that stuff, then you can live freely. And when you understand what's happening inside of you, you stop fighting yourself. And that's where real healing begins. I had a private client of mine that I was working with yesterday. She was experiencing chronic pain, but the chronic pain was new. So I'm like, there must have been something that's happening in your life right now that is causing this chronic pain. We got to get to the bottom of it. So we did one session of hypnosis to clear out the chronic pain, but then we realized that it's still there. So we did something called integrated parts therapy, and we spoke to the two parts of her, and they were actually fighting each other. They were fighting each other that was causing them to give her chronic pain. As soon as we did that, she sent me a video of her out on the lake kayaking, and she's, oh my gosh, I feel so happy. Because we brought resolution to those two parts that were fighting her and causing her the pain. It's really incredible. Yeah, do you have a question?
So for the neighbors, would it work better if it was, let's say it's your perception of the neighbors not liking you or being rude, but it works less well if they're actually doing something like blocking you with your stuff. Let's say you share a common area and their stuff is always blocking you, or they're parking into your area. So does it work better for perspective issues and less well for issues where there's actual kind of real action?
Yeah, so I would still suggest to try and visualize as if they're super nice, super kind, super accommodating, that they respect you, they respect your boundaries, and you see them differently. And then you will actually come off with a different energy. So instead of reacting, you will be, I forget what the other word was that I said, but instead of reacting, you will be responding and you'll have a different energy. And therefore, they will want to act differently to you. It's really fascinating when we change how other people change. So that's an invitation to try it out, see what happens. Even for the next 30 days, imagine that they're the nicest people in the world, that they're super accommodating, that they respect your space, your boundaries, your stuff, and just notice. If it doesn't change, come back and let me know, but I have a feeling that it just might. And then if that doesn't happen, then you just set very firm boundaries and then you stay on top of them about it. Is what I would say, but never allow anyone else's behaviors to change how you feel internally. Make your baseline rock solid so that nothing can shake you, especially someone else, because then you're giving them your power and that's no bueno. Okay, so tonight we covered that you're not too emotional, that your nervous system is really just doing its job. Triggers are old patterns being activated, that they're not random overreactions. Regulation is about safety, not staying calm all the time. Reacting versus responding is the difference regulation makes when you're regulated, reacting versus responding in that same situation. A simple tool is to name it, lengthen the exhale, and remind your body that you're safe. You can feel free to take a picture of this as well if that would be helpful. And then finally, this is internal decluttering. We are letting go of stuff unresolved that's from the past, and it changes everything else when you do. So just before we dive into the meditation, we will go over by about 5 minutes. But if you're good with that, I'm good to still do this. So Right now, I'm running a declutter challenge. Today, we're only in day 2. So if anyone does want to join, you're not too late. We actually, whatever we talked about tonight, we're actually covering within the challenge. Yes, we do physical decluttering, but physical decluttering is really oftentimes just an external representation of what's going on inside. So we are doing things like emotional clutter, grief clutter, identity clutter, so on. It's a very unique way to declutter. So if you want to come and do that, I do truly recommend doing it. It's like least the smallest investment that you can make in terms of working on yourself and then getting hot seat coaching and stuff with me. It's 7-day challenge, but you get it, I would say lifetime, but I haven't like it will be in your inbox. So yeah, you'll get it for lifetime. And we work on both external, internal clutter, physical, emotional, identity, situational, mental, grief, and future clutter. I spent 11 years helping people declutter their life from the inside out. And this is what I noticed. I'm actually writing a book on it as well called Clutter Talks, because clutter is really just talking to us. Like our emotions are talking to us. So if you want to join, I'm just going to pop it in the chat and then we'll dive into the meditation. It's casshenry.com/declutter. You can join anytime. Like I said, you're not too late. And of course, if you want to explore the work that I do, then reach out to me. My website is casshenry.com. You can find me pretty much anywhere. I have a podcast, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, I have it. As well as I host these meetups pretty well weekly. I might be doing bi-weekly for a little while, but either way, reach out to me. I would love to have a conversation with you. And my email is hello@casshenry.com. So just pop that there. So before we do the meditation, does anyone have any questions? All right.
Do you find the cluttering issue, like physical cluttering, is something that's passed on in a family? Because I know somebody whose mother was extremely cluttering, and to the point where when she visited Japan, she needed to stay in a hotel first because she needed a day to clear out space from the house. I just wondered if maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We model behavior that we are shown growing up. Also, clutter shows up in all sorts of different ways. Like if we have fear, scarcity, or worry, or overwhelm, or anxiety, or whatever it may be, like clutter is an external representation of what's going on inside. So when we deal with the inside, it's a lot easier to tackle the outside. But the problem is a lot of people, especially in hoarding situations or whatever it may be, which I don't work with hoarders, is a lot of people fixate on the symptom. The symptom is the clutter, but you need to work internally first. Don't even touch the clutter first. Figure out why it's showing up in the first place. Get to know the clutter. Talk to your clutter. Why are you here? What are you showing me? What are you revealing to me about myself and my fears and my worries? People that have excess, they're living in a state of fear because it's the what if I need it? What if I don't have enough? What if I can't get it again? What if I decide that I do want to pursue this thing? It's all fear. It's all scarcity. It's all worry. The moment you have freedom within yourself is the moment you can free yourself from your clutter, both externally and internally. That answer your question? And of course,
Maybe I'll ask her if she's interested in working on all that.
I would love to help. And also, sometimes it comes down to feeling overwhelmed, not knowing where to start. I can help with that as well. I have all the strategies, but I don't focus on what bins to buy and all that stuff. I focus on letting
Yeah.
go. Because when we let go, that's when we have freedom. But again, it's when we focus on the inside first and we have lasting change versus like a quick tidy up, especially when it comes to people who have a lot of clutter and they let it go too soon, they will bring it back twice as fast. Like weight on your body, that's also clutter. If you lose a bunch of weight, but you haven't done the internal work, the weight will come back and it will come back even more because that was protection. It's all related.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, Jean.
So I like what you two said about the clutter. I can relate to both of you. My issue is I logically know what my fear is, but I can't think my way out of it. Like I'm just a girl in Ottawa and I want to be beautiful. So I bought all these clothes and shoes and makeup. And I don't really need that much of it. I really don't need so much. But I feel, and people tell me you're good looking and you're attractive, but I never, and it still hadn't stopped the clutter problem. I'm still like buying makeup and all that. And I kind of want to stop because it's causing too much stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not logical because people have told me you're attractive and yet I'm still buying all this stuff. So I don't know how to stop.
Join the declutter challenge tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm not sure if you're free, but either way, it's going to be recorded. We're talking about identity. Today we talked about emotional clutter. Tomorrow is going to be really valuable for you because we're talking about identity. What you have right now is self-worth, self-esteem. You will not get rid of that. You will continuously buy more clothes and you'll continuously contort yourself to match this image so that you could be liked and accepted by other people. But the problem is you don't love and accept yourself. So even if people say you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're so kind, it's not coming into you. It's not being accepted because you don't believe that to be true about yourself. And now that can hurt to hear. So I'm not trying to say that in an insensitive way, but I'm trying to highlight something that is unresolved within you. So no amount of makeup or clothes or no number on the scale will solve that until we work on the deeper root.
Okay, I didn't think it was insensitive. You could go more blunt with me, but I understand what you mean. It's like, yeah, it's like, I get it's a self-worth problem. You're right, because growing up as an Asian, I was always like thought of as ugly or couldn't make any friends because I was different. But now that I'm like past the school years, I kind of do believe it because women and men have told me. So I do believe it, but at the same time, I can't stop myself. So I understand, and I like to join your group. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I put the link in the chat, casshenry.com/declutter, and utilize it. So you're going to get an email that's going to send you to a group called Telegram. You're going to join in, ask the questions in there because you're not the only one. Okay, you're not the only one who's struggling with this, which is why people fixate on the number on the scale. They fixate on what they're wearing, how they look. I used to be that way too. There was a self-worth problem. I highly disliked myself. So no matter what people said, it didn't go in because I didn't believe that about me. And now that I'm safe, secure, and love myself and accept myself as I am, I have absolute freedom. And I swear sometimes, so just putting it out there, but I don't give a fuck anymore about what people say about me, about what I think. It doesn't really matter because as long as I am secure with myself, everyone else is just a bonus. So if someone says you're beautiful, it's like, thanks. I'm feeling pretty great today. But I'm not needing them to say I'm beautiful in order to feel beautiful. There's a big differentiator between that. And when you get down to the root of whatever happened in your childhood, which you've been collecting evidence for a long time. So there's a couple of things that you said there. I'm really glad that you allowed yourself to be vulnerable. So thank you so much for that. There's a couple things in there that we could even look at, such as that we collect evidence to support our beliefs, essentially. So join the group. It's $27. It's cheaper than a new lipstick. That will get you set up. It will be really eye-opening for you, a really great start. And I don't hold anything back. And the people who are already part of that are amazing. Okay. So let's meditate. All right. And I appreciate you guys for sticking around. If you have to leave, don't worry. I'm going to send the recording. Yeah. Okay. Let's do this. So if you can, find a comfortable position sitting down, but if you're standing, walking, that's okay too. It'll still work if you're in transition. So just go ahead and find a comfortable position, breathing in through the nose and exhale through the mouth, allowing yourself to be grounded here in this moment, feeling really, really safe. There's nowhere to be, nothing to do for the next 10 minutes or so. Let your feet rest on the floor. Allow your body to settle wherever you are. If it feels good to do so, have your eyes closed for the duration of this meditation. Again, take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and exhale through the mouth, letting go. One more time, a slow breath in, a long, easy breath out through the mouth, allowing yourself to arrive here and now. Feel the support underneath your body. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin and allow your intention to move inward. For the next few minutes, you get to simply be with yourself. This meditation is about coming back home to yourself. No need to figure anything out. No need to change anything. Just be here. Another slow breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, allow your shoulders to soften and fall down your back. Relax your jaw. Soften the muscles around your eyes. Allow your hands to rest wherever they are. And imagine that with each breath, you're creating a little more space within you. More space to think and feel. More space to choose. More space to think, simply be. And as you breathe, bring your attention to the center of your chest. And if it feels good for you, you can even place a hand on your chest. Feel the warmth of your hand. Feel your breath moving through your body. And quietly remind yourself that I am here. I'm listening. I'm connecting to myself. Take another breath in. And as you exhale, slowly let go. And imagine your body beginning to recognize this feeling of slowing down, of being present, of being connected. You can return here anytime. One breath, one pause, one moment of awareness. That's all it takes. And now imagine yourself moving through your life feeling grounded and connected to yourself. Picture yourself waking up in the morning feeling present. That's all we ever really want, is to be present in the moment, to feel alive, to feel free. Picture yourself moving through your day with a sense of steadiness, having conversations while staying connected and true to you, making decisions from a clear mind, expressing what you need, giving yourself permission to pause, trusting yourself to know what comes next. Notice how you carry yourself. Notice how you breathe. Notice how you speak. Notice the feeling in your body. Imagine moving through your relationships in this way. Your work, your home, your friendships, your everyday life. Present, grounded, connected, able to experience your emotions and still choose what you want to do next. Take another slow breath in. And as you exhale, allow that feeling to expand even bigger now. Imagine creating a little more space between something happening and how you respond to it. A moment to breathe, a moment to notice, a moment to ask yourself, what am I feeling? What do I need? What matters to me here? How do I want to respond? And when you live your life like that, you allow the answers to come from within you. All of a sudden, time slows down naturally because you're no longer rushing. You can pause. You can listen. And you can choose. And every time you do this, you strengthen your relationship with yourself. You're learning your own signals. You're becoming more familiar with your own needs. And you're building trust within yourself. And that's everything. Take another slow breath into the nose. And as you exhale, imagine that sense of trust becoming stronger. You can silently repeat these phrases to yourself or out loud. I can listen to myself. I can support myself. I can trust myself. I can choose my response. I can come back to myself. Again, I can come back to myself. I get to decide how I feel. And let yourself really just feel that, taking your power back. Anywhere you might have left it in the past, you are taking your power back. And as you imagine that, imagine it coming through your body like a warm, golden light, all of your power coming back home to you. And coming back to yourself in general, it doesn't require a perfect day. It can happen in a single moment, a single breath or pause, a single choice. And the more often you return here, the more familiar this place becomes. It's calm, clear, present, connected. Take one final deep breath into the nose and slowly exhale even longer through the mouth. Bring this feeling back with you and know you can come back to this at any time. Thank your body for keeping you alive. Thank your intuition for always speaking to you. Thank your heart for beating without you having to do anything at all. And slowly bring your awareness back to the room. Feel your feet and the surface underneath you. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Roll your shoulders up and back and let them drop. And take this feeling of connection back with you, a reminder to pause and listen and choose. And when you feel ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for bringing your questions, your vulnerabilities, your presence, your attention, your interest. I hope that you found valuable in the call. If you ever want my help in being more emotionally regulated, letting go of stuff in the past, stepping into who you're meant to be, then you know where to find me, CassHenry.com, hello@CassHenry.com. Keep coming back to these meetups if that's something that interests you. Sending you all so much love and gratitude. Thank you so much for being here. If you find value in this, share it with someone who you think could find benefit in the work that I do. I'm on a mission to help as many people as I can to get out of suffering and get into their life. So sending you lots of love.